Testing 1, 2. All right, that works. That's our background. All right. Let's see. It is on. So that's good. What? Post. All right, here, hang on. All right. Sorry about the confusion, Ken.
Oh, no worries. How are you, Mike?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing okay, thanks.
Your camera's not working, or you're still turned off. I don't know.
Oh, it's doing that thing again.
It's like a gray. You're like a gray blob.
I feel like a gray blob.
You're.
I'm gonna start over and come back.
All right, cool. So those that are joining, we're just technical difficulties. The one person that's joining. Thank you. We're just, like usual, not 100% ready, but we'll get it. I don't know. I'm having bad luck with everything today. So Kenobi was on, so I had good luck with that. I got 3 people watching, and my other hosts are coming. So hopefully we're going to talk about Kenobi. So if you haven't watched Kenobi, it'll probably be, there will be spoilers. I see John. We get John turned on. Ken is coming. John.
Hello.
Why is my picture like that? Oh, there you go. Did you get all your hair cut off?
I did.
Oh my god!
No, I'm a whole different person now. Yeah,
Is that getting ready for Kylo?
Yes, actually.
We'll allow it then.
You know, I figured if we're gonna try and take approval pictures this weekend, I may as well just cut it off now and
Look at the part.
right.
Sorry, I tried to make a seat. I tried to make it so it would go on the back of my chair, and I used too strong of whatever that clear stuff is called.
Oh, the transfer tape.
Yeah, I feel like a soccer mom talking about my kids. You know, yes.
Yeah.
Transfer tape. So, yeah, Ken logged in and he was having camera issues, so he's coming back.
Gotcha.
He got confused with the 10 o'clock and the 8 o'clock show. The only reason I thought that is Missy was like, over 2 hours might be really long. So I thought, well, then if we have a 2 hour window and then we cut it and restart it, then when we start putting it on a feed, it'll be a little easier.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a chair, so I go like 12 hours now.
Hopefully, I don't fall asleep again. That was embarrassing.
That's all right. I am on my last spools of filament. So filament's supposed to be here Friday. I have, I think, 7 Tuscan mask shells printed, 2 more printing today, and probably 2 more tomorrow. So.
All the Greeblies done?
The Greebly, the molds are upstairs. That's tomorrow's job. I poured them with dragon skin, and I needed like 8 more ounces of dragon skin. So I was like, damn it. So I had to order it from, I just ordered on Amazon because it wasn't worth like to drive an hour and 15 minutes to pick up, a $30 thing of molding material. So
right.
All those kids thinking of molding. The molds for those Greeblies cost me $78 to make.
Oh my god!
Just to make the molds. That doesn't include the actual material for the Greeblies.
Right.
So, like helmets can run depending on. Now I'm a little better at it now, but some of the helmets, like I've spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars because you mess up. Like it's if you mess up 3D printing, the worst you mess up is at the worst you lose a spool of filament. You know, but if you mess up on a mold, it could be $350 worth of stuff, and it's literally like trash. Ken, how are you?
I'm doing all right, thanks. Good to see you guys. Finally. I don't know about this 11-year-old computer that keeps giving me problems. Yeah,
you're dragging. Well, see, yeah, well, it's a little better. The at least with Zoom and all that, you're not as hardware reliant as maybe like 5 years ago. I like your background, but yeah, nice. So let me.
So what conversation did I miss while I was doing all my resets here? I apologize for the delay.
We were talking about the John cut all his hair off.
Yep.
So, I think it's mainly just to spite us guys that don't have good hair anymore.
What'd you do with it? Did you donate it?
Since I've dyed it before, you're not able to donate it.
Oh, okay.
So
they're. I think one of my girls donated. I think Sappy donated her.
So there was no altruism there. It was like John said, or as Mike said, you're just rubbing it in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was telling him since I'm getting Kylo this weekend, and we're gonna try and take my approval pictures. I mean, I may as well cut the hair and look the part. So.
Wow, no rest for the wicked.
Yeah. Plus, it was time. With this heat wave, and it's only gonna get worse. I figured it's not worth my neck feeling like it's 1,000 degrees with a ponytail sitting over it.
This may surprise both of you, but I used to have long hair at one point.
Yeah.
I had the long blonde skater do. I would sit in class and have to tilt my head to the one side because if not, it would just hang over my eye. So I'd have to sit like this so I could see out of both.
I think mine was about a foot long at the longest, but it was my sides were completely bald. It was just long on top. I just tucked it in a hat. That was more just out of laziness than I wasn't really trying to make a statement. I went to a school where we had like strict hair requirements.
like your hair couldn't touch your collar, couldn't touch your ears, and couldn't touch your eyebrows.
Couldn't touch your ears?
Yeah, it had to be like a traditional. Like,
those are really weird requirements. That almost sounds like you got CRLs for school.
Yeah, it was, and you had to. When I was in 8th grade, they would come around at lunch to see if you were shaved, and if you weren't shaved, they would take you to the principal's office at 8th grade on and make you shave with a dry razor.
Mm.
That's almost like cruel and unusual punishment. Holy cow!
Oh, I know. So, and like this is about a week, but when I was younger, it grew even faster. Like I was one of those kids that had 5 o'clock shadow, even if I shaved on the way to school.
In 8th grade?
No. But in high school, I did. Like I had a baby face, but man, if I had to shave every day, or it just,
Wow, that's pretty funny.
It was my cousin Don Johnson. I was trying to look like him.
Wait,
he's like a.
Did you tell us this story before?
I don't know, but he's like a 4th cousin. My grandmother was obsessed with it in the 80s because she's from Missouri, and she would show me these letters because somehow we were like 3rd or 4th cousins
of the Don Johnson.
Yeah. Because it used to drive her nuts that he would be on TV and not be shaved. Well, she'd ever met him. I mean,
Sean, did you know this story?
No, this is the first I've heard of it.
No, because Missy just jokes around and makes fun of every time she sees him. She just makes fun. Hey, there's your cousin. Because my grandmother would tell everybody. I probably have the letter somewhere in a box.
I cannot wait to uncover the gems that we are going to experience on Saturday by being in your presence, because I have no idea what other stories could possibly come out of you.
I forget. I've forgotten more of my stories than I know.
My goodness. How can it be what is it? June 22nd, 2022. We're just now learning that you're related to Don Johnson.
Again,
not just any Don Johnson. We're talking Miami Vice Don Johnson.
Again, I still think that's like, I don't know what Missouri's like, but I think that's probably, everybody's related. Here, Ken, you weren't here when I did this.
Oh, that's cool.
I was trying to put it on my chair, on the back of my chair, across the, but I got to figure out how to do that. What else were we talking about? Oh, then we were talking about mold making. So I've just finished making the molds for all the Sandperson Greeblies because I was just a little short of dragon skin. So I'll be casting all those probably in the next couple days.
Okay.
The plus thing, the molding compared to 3D printing, especially in this heat, 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
So
be very specific with your measurements and just goop and go.
Well, yeah, me and Marty have a system. We have a special cup that we buy at like Dollar Tree, and they have lines on them, like drinking cups. Because when we first started, we bought the measuring cups with like milliliters and all that crap. Well, they only work so long, and they get encrusted with stuff. You got to pitch them anyway.
Yeah, and they're expensive. They're not like a solo cup.
Yeah. So, and you can't. Well, the problem is you can't use solo cups. You got to be careful with them because depending on what you're mixing. The expensive ones, certain ones, it mixes with the chemical, and they'll just disintegrate. You'll be pouring, and all of a sudden the bottom will stick to the table.
Oh God!
So you got to be careful with those too. They have a shelf.
Well, with solo cups, there's also that little like ridge around the bottom, so you'll get some of the different pieces, the different parts.
It's 1-to-1, so I try to stick with 1-to-1. There's some stuff you have to mix by measurement, like when we make the rubber, that's by weight. And that gets hairy. I got to make a set of shoes for Justin Solnfeld, the head of 501st, and some other stuff. I got some orders for guys, but I have to, me and Marty have to be in the right state of mind and be in that mold making, because if not, you mess that up. I cleaned my garage, so all I've been doing is getting ready for this party. That's all I've been doing. So I cleaned my garage, I mowed my grass twice this week. I pressure washed my house, all this other stuff. So I got my office somewhat clean. I gotta finish that and get the 3D printers running, and then I'm ready to go. Go Friday. When John gets here, we'll figure something to do.
Yeah, I'm excited beyond measure.
Huh? Yeah, Friday morning.
Beyond measure.
Friday morning, I'll get all the food stuff because we'll have manwich / sloppy joes, vegan manwich / sloppy joes, soft pretzels, popcorn, and slushies.
Sounds.
Are
like
you going the whole length of giving everything like Star Wars names?
No, you can do that, Ken. You can make those signs. My goal is this time to not like I got everything almost done, and then Friday I'm just going to relax. And then John will get here and we'll figure something to do. But I'm trying to get everything done, so I'm not like getting everything done at 5 a.m. on Friday, and then I'm like a zombie all day.
Yeah.
Like if it gets done, it gets done. Like I'm gonna go fabric shopping Friday. I got to get the last count of how many people are showing up. Because some people commit and then they'll message me. I'm not sure I can make it, and then I'll see them posting other stuff. So I got to find out what they actually mean, And just because I don't, because there's a fabric store near me. So if we need more, someone can run over. I just want to make sure we have all the stuff we can't get. Okay. Like the reason I'm molding the Greedleys, I could have just 3D printed them, but it takes so long to get those eye pieces smooth. When you 3D print. Now, even if I tried to clean them up with putty before I molded them, but if they're not perfectly smooth with the resin, you can sand it in like 10 seconds and have it, glass smooth. So
nice.
And I'm going to buy a bunch of floor mats because I think we'll make them the floor mat frame and put the cloth around them. I looked at all the different 3D things that Marcus had and it's a good idea, but that seems like a very tedious process that you might want to spend weeks building, where I know the foam method for Sappy's worked really quickly and we can make it. And what I know I didn't like about hers, we can redo. So, but I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good time.
Yeah, I'm real excited for it. I need a mini vacation, and this is the best possible thing.
Good. Yeah.
So you're going to Tuscany.
Yeah, there you go.
On your vacation.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone at work's been making fun of me because I told them, like, yeah, this is my vacation weekend. It's my birthday weekend. I'm not going to be in town. Don't call me.
Now, how old are you going to be?
I'll be 23 in 4 hours.
Jeez, I think I still have clothes. Wow. I have clothes that are 23.
If you stay awake during tonight's episode, we could sing to you on your birthday.
No, there's pictures that when Zoe was born that I'm still wearing some of the same clothing. Like I have it finally got thrown out this year, but there was a sweater that I wore when she right around when she was like less than a year old, and I still had it. I finally got rid of it. She'll be 21 in September. So. Yeah, well, happy birthday. We'll
I'm so honored that you're deciding to choose to spend it with us.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Your family's probably not happy with you.
Well, so my sister, she's technically adopted, but not really.
Wow. Star Wars taught us that doesn't matter.
Right. And her adoption birthday is Monday, I think, whatever the 26th is.
Okay.
So they're all going to the Cleveland Zoo on Sunday. And they were like, "Are you going with us?" I'm like, "No, I'll be 6 hours away." So for my birthday, because I hate my birthday so much. It's just over the years it's been ruined for me. But my mom's like, "Well, since you're not going to be here and I really don't want you camping out in Pennsylvania for 2 nights, like let me just buy you a hotel." I'm like, fine by me. That's
Where are you staying?
The Holiday Inn in Lancaster.
Wait a minute. There's a Holiday Inn in Lancaster?
Mm-hmm. It's only like 20 minutes away.
I know. I'm trying to think. Where is it in downtown Lancaster?
I have no idea.
Oh, I mean, if it's wait a minute, I gotta look this up. No, I mean because I think that's the one.
Is that the haunted one?
Yeah, no. Holiday Inn Lancaster. Oh, Holiday Inn Express. Is it in Strasbourg?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's not one. No, there's so the one right in downtown Lancaster used to be the fanciest hotel in Lancaster. Like when Harrison Ford came for Witness, that's where he stayed, like right downtown Lancaster. But it's not the same. It's nice. So I was like, oh, please don't be the one in downtown Lancaster. So no, okay. Well, I know where that's at. So yeah, when you get in, let me know. We'll go cruising around.
Absolutely.
You're you can go to Strasburg Railroad. Do you watch The Walking Dead?
I watched the first, oh boy, 4 or 5 seasons.
Oh, okay. Because in the recent seasons, they talk about an ice cream place, and it's right near where you're staying. The one character, it's just like a throwaway line, but it's I don't know. Probably one of the writers went there for vacation, said, "Hey, let's just mention this place." So, you guys watch Kenobi?
Oh yeah,
Kenobi.
absolutely.
Yeah, I actually got up at 3:15 this morning to watch it.
Oh man, I got up at 6. So.
Yeah, I I had my alarm set for 3, and apparently I slept through them, so I woke up at 6 to watch it.
Well, the funny part was last night we were talking about it, and our youngest son Derek said, "Oh yeah, I'll get up. I'll just stay up and I'll watch it with you in the morning." I said, "Okay, no problem." And so I got up. I went to his door, listened to see if I heard any noise from his room. Didn't hear anything. Open it up. He was out. I'm like, I'm not gonna wake you. I know you'll be able to watch it. It's on Disney Plus. I know I'll watch it more than once. So I'm just gonna let you sleep. So I came downstairs, watched it with the dog, tucked back in for a little bit of sleep before I went back to work, and it was fantastic.
Oh yeah. Well, let me I wanted to address a couple things because I was thinking about this. This is when I mow, I think too much because but I wanted to go back to the previous episode.
Well, how about this? If we're going to talk about Kenobi, do you want to just talk about it from the beginning?
Yeah.
Because there's so much, I think, to uncover, unpack, discover, and it'll give us a chance to let the folks who are joining now maybe watch it if they haven't watched it.
Yeah.
And maybe if the mood still hits us, maybe at that 10 o'clock mark, then we actually get into the episode because maybe more people have actually watched it by then. Because I don't know if our listeners know this. We're probably going to spoil a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Probably so. Yeah, I had to put blue for his lightsaber.
Love it.
All right, so here's the two things that Kenobi should have taught some people. Don't get upset until you watch the whole series.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? Because some people, if you watch the first episode, right, the first episode, then people start complaining about stuff right away. And then almost all those complaints went away as the episodes went. Don't you think?
Yeah, and I think we live in a world now where folks are in such a rush to be the first one to say something, the first one to show something, the first one to hate something, the first one to whatever. They're in such a rush that they don't give the thing, whatever the thing is, the chance to be.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And some of them end up having to either change with this. Well, I know I said the first episode was crap, but now that I've seen the last 3, it's actually okay.
Yeah.
And what do you think the second thing is that you learned from Kenobi, or that we should have learned from Kenobi?
Well, I thought this, but I don't know better than the people doing Star Wars. All the movies I've made, which is 0, are not as good as what these guys can do. They're making them for a reason. Like if you made 50 movies or something, and then maybe talk about it. But I don't know. That's what I've learned. I just have fun with it. Goodness, everyone was worried about. I was worried about canon. I was worried when they said the ultimate battle. And man, everything. It's just everything went into that. It just locked in. Because the other disturbing thing I saw, which I know I'm getting to the end, people were like, "Well, there were a lot of plot holes, right? Left, right? They said plot holes." And I was thinking, watch New Hope. I can give you 100 plot holes, if that's why you're watching Star Wars. I mean.
Well, the other thing too, I think when it comes to Star Wars, anything Star Wars. What happened to my thing?
I don't know. You just froze for a second.
Yeah, that's very strange. I apologize. The very first movie was fresh, was new. No one had seen anything like it before. These characters never existed before. We didn't really 100% truly know if there was going to be anything after A New Hope until until it actually came into existence or whatever. And here we are now in 2022, and there is new Star Wars stuff every couple months. From a visual perspective, whether it's a TV show, a movie, an animated thing, not counting the comic books and the novels and the audiobooks. So there's a flood of available Star Wars stuff now. Back then, didn't know. And I think one of the exciting things about back then is after we watched it, we couldn't just necessarily go into our living rooms and watch it again. We had to get in line to go to the theater again. And if we could get in line to go to the theater again, because when it came out, I was 2, so I don't know. I don't even know if I saw the original one in the theaters. But for the other ones, the only reruns we had really at first were the toys, were the adventures that we had in the background, in the backyard, or in the living room, or grabbing a wrapping paper tube or a stick and swinging it at your cousins or whatever. That was the sequels for us, or the continuing stories. Now there's so much available that folks will claim something as a plot hole when is it really? Is it truly a plot hole, or is it just space where there's room for more stories, but not necessarily a hole in the plot? And I think those two things are different.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's funny that you say, now we've got such a flood of Star Wars media in whatever, format that might be. But, I read comments in posts about people who are saying, oh, there's too much Star Wars coming out. They're oversaturating the market. And it's like, well, I remember not even 10 years ago when people were complaining, we don't have any new Star Wars. Disney said they were going to bring out Star Wars.
Yep.
And and I don't understand how you can go from there's not enough Star Wars to there's too much.
Yeah. Well, I had this discussion with my wife. There's a lot of times you'll see people where they have to step away from something. They'll say, I have to step away from Star Wars, or I have to step away from this social media platform. And I think what people forget is that's not a reflection on Star Wars or the social media platform. That's a reflection on how people use it or don't use it. Like when someone says I have to step away from Star Wars fandom, I'm thinking, and this is coming from the person who, if someone looked at me, would think that I'm crazy, way too much Star Wars in my life. You know what I mean? So I just think if you have to step away from something you love, then you got to rethink, how it's affecting your life. I just ignore, there are tons of, if I chase down everything, I stay off Twitter a good bit, only because Twitter isn't fun for me, and I know I miss a lot of good tweets from people that I follow, but I just don't need that in my life, but I don't step away from Star Wars, and I don't step away from Twitter. I just block or ignore.
Which I think is really funny that folks would say that when there are things that exist now that are, I think, equally in extreme. I mean, they have, was it ESPN4 or whatever, where the only thing they play are games that have already happened, like from a decade or more ago. So they're replaying historic games that we already know the outcome of. And not only are they playing them, people are watching them still. So for the people who say there's too much Star Wars, how do you respond to something like that? How do you respond to them playing, the 1984 Super Bowl again on this one sports channel? Or the fact that What is it? Yeah, it might change. Maybe if I blow on the screen, maybe that field goal will actually go in versus out or whatever. I mean, they have entire networks to get dedicated to golf or car racing or dirt track car racing or duck. I mean, okay. So do folks need to step away from duck hunting for a while because they do it too much and their closet is filled with camouflage and their drawers in the kitchen have no utensils and they're just duck whistles?
Well,
Maybe, I don't know.
And maybe you know what it is though. If someone if let's pick on duck hunting, if you constantly said negative stuff about duck hunting, that you wouldn't be called a duck hunting fan. Like if we did this show every Wednesday and all we did was talk about how we hated duck hunting, people wouldn't say the negative duck hunting fans. They'd be like, those guys don't like duck hunting. Where with Star Wars, it gets lumped in. If you talk about Star Wars in any way, shape, or form, you're lumped in as a fan. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's what makes it different.
See, I would be perfectly okay with a Star Wars channel, just because there's so much of it. I mean, and in fact, with On Demand, we essentially have a Star Wars channel at our beck and call anyway.
Oh yeah.
I no longer have to put in my Clone Wars DVDs, or I don't have to look through and find Phantom Menace. I don't have to sift through John's collection of videos to figure out which version of Revenge of the Sith I'm going to watch. Am I going to watch 16 or 198?
I just want all of them playing at once on a different TV, just synced a half second off.
Oh, that would be so off-putting.
Now imagine just recording that, a wall of TVs with just, it would be like that Echo song, like an echo. No, yeah, I mean the it's beautiful to have all that Star Wars. It's funny how lazy we get really quickly. Like if someone would have told me 10 years ago that I wouldn't bother to get my DVDs out or my whatever, because you know what I mean? Like, because I just if it's not on Disney Plus, I'm just watching whatever version's on Disney Plus. Because I have the DVDs that have the the unspecial edition ones, which I like the special edition, so I don't really care. But it's just funny how we get pretty lazy really quickly.
One thing I'd like your help finding, if you guys ever stumble across it, is the Phantom Menace DVD when Yoda was still a puppet, because I ended up getting rid of my version. I still have that. And I don't have it anymore, and I'm kind of sad about it. And you were going to say, John, I apologize for interrupting you.
Honestly, I forget. It wasn't important.
I think I have that one. I think I have that one.
The puppet version of Yoda?
Yeah. That Yoda was rough. There's a store down in Maryland, probably like an hour from here. He's like a collector store, and somehow he gets some really cool stuff. Like he has, remember they made the life-size Watto and life-size Yoda, and I think they made a life-size Anakin. Mm-hmm. I think it was like a Pepsi promotion or something like that. And they rally but he has the Anakin, the Watto, and the life-size Jar Jar in this store. I mean, they're out of my price range, but it's just so cool to see. And the Yoda, they must have made a lot of the Yodas, because I see a lot of the Yodas pop up every once in a while.
I think I've seen one at like a flea market or something within the last couple of years, but.
And then Marty has he has a Yoda, which is pretty cool. I don't know where he got it. He did it. Remember? Do you guys remember? There's only two people watching. The Amy Schumer Star Wars shoot on some magazine years ago.
Oh, where she had C-3PO and yeah.
That was Gordon Tarpley was the C-3PO.
Really?
Yeah, that guy who made Sappy Shorts. So, but I don't know why that Yoda made me think of that. We took that Yoda up to the cliffs one time. One time we did when we did a photo shoot up there. He has that little Yoda, and I think Dan repainted the eyes to make him look a little better.
Where we did the movie, where we did the fan film?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
which I got to get talking to Matt again because he has more plans for this summer, but that man cannot buckle down to a day.
What's the difference between a plan and a random idea then?
I don't know. I just need a date. Give me a date and let me work around it.
Right.
Like someone says sometime in July, you might as well say, August next year if I need time. But anyway, so back to Obi-Wan. So overall in the series, before we get talking specifics, before it started, I thought 90% of it was going to be him protecting Luke. Like I
definitely thought Luke was going to be involved. That's for sure. And I blame Disney. They had that little shot of young Anakin flying on the Lars homestead. Like, oh, it's going to be about Obi-Wan and Luke. Not so much.
Yeah, they Baby Yoda us with Leia. What was your thoughts on it?
What do you think, John?
I mean, if I had to put a number on it, I would say at least an 8 out of 10, only for the simple fact of the first 2 episodes started off pretty weak, in my opinion. But as the season went on, it got far better. So I thought the first 2 episodes were a little slow, and they weren't coherent. But after seeing episode 3, 4, 5, and 6, it then made the first 2 episodes make more sense. But I loved it. I'm happy it exists. I am definitely going to go back and watch it all the way through and just have myself a little 5-hour marathon.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I would say 8 or 9 out of 10.
What do you think, Ken?
I thought it was fantastic. One thing as I was watching it, I was trying to figure out, because originally, from what I remember, and my memory isn't what it always could be or should be, I thought Obi-Wan was originally going to be a movie. I thought they were going to make a standalone movie like Solo or like Rogue One. And so as I was watching it, I was trying to figure out in my head where they would have cut pieces out to fit into a 2-hour block. Because this is how many hours of, you said 5.5 hours of, that's a heck of a movie. I mean, that's like 2.5 movies. It's almost a trilogy in and of itself, almost. So I'm trying to figure out what they would have taken out of this, what we got, to have just be a movie. And then I thought to myself, why am I wasting my time even thinking about it? Just enjoy this 5.5 hours. Enjoy what they're putting out on the screen. And I will say I was also somewhat surprised by what they showed, what they had Obi-Wan do. And what's interesting about that is the things that I hear people say that they enjoyed in terms of the surprise are similar to what they did with Luke in The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, but folks got pissed about those things.
Yeah.
But they seem to be okay with it for Obi-Wan. And now here's my specific example that I'll use from Obi-Wan. So in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, Obi-Wan actually turns down an opportunity to help somebody. And not just anybody. He turned down a chance to help another Jedi.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not the Obi-Wan that I remember from the Clone Wars cartoons. That's not the Obi-Wan I remember from the prequels. To have Obi-Wan essentially tell another Jedi, good luck. Go, you got to get out of here. I'm not going to help you. And folks seemed to support that display, but when Luke turned his back on the Force, folks threw their hands up in the air and said Luke would never do that. So I find it interesting that even though the ideas are similar, I know they're not exact, but they're similar. They support it in one hand and are really upset about it in another.
Yeah, well, I think what I liked about it the most was it was almost how it was almost like his hope was returned. like when we met him, he was hopeless. Like he was hanging all the weight on Luke. You know, like I think Kenobi literally thought there was no one else out there, and it was just him and Luke. You know, and he knew Leia was around, but you know, apparently he wasn't too. You know, the Jedi might have been slightly sexist, maybe. I don't know.
Well, with that in mind, how do you describe or define hope? What's that word mean to you?
Well, like when I say hope, like most people bet you ever been in that point in your life when things are hopeless, and I'm not saying like cancer or anything like that, but just your daily, like either your job is failing, your money, you know, family, whatever. There's that hopeless feeling. It's that feeling you have when a lottery ticket seems like a good financial decision. You know what I'm saying? You know, you know what I mean? Like, and I think with him, his lottery ticket, the only thing he thought was Luke was the only hope. Like, I think he didn't see. I don't think he, you know, he was on a backwater planet, and I think he thought, well, I'm just going to tuck Leia away, and you know, because no one was reaching out, and
yeah, I think that's one of the great things about Star Wars in general, and I know we've kind of, you know, talked about it in several of our conversations, that we have the ability through these characters, through these stories, to experience these emotions, to explore these sensations, to walk through these experiences without having to live them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, I've never had to cut off the legs and arms of a friend and leave him to burn on the side of a volcano. I've never done that. I don't know what that's like. However, I saw it on screen. Was it?
We call that Thursdays at work.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Is that why Thursdays are the hottest day of the week?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, no, right. I mean, that's the, you know, that's the that's it. I mean, I don't know.
And I think that the three of us could very easily do an entire episode on the tragedies that Obi-Wan Kenobi has experienced in his life. And not saying that we haven't in the real world experienced our own sense of tragedies or whatever. However, this one singular character who's existed since 1977 on the screen, even earlier than that in rough draft form, this guy has gone through so much and has experienced so much loss and failure and devastation and confusion, and they're still making stories about this guy.
Oh,
this crazy old space wizard samurai who whips around a laser sword.
Well, and that's what I think. I think they did a really good job overall with this. I was just worried how it was going to change New Hope. You know, I was worried it was going to, you know, and I think it just fit right in. Like it gave me a new respect for Owen and Veru. You know, like they probably went, now I think when they were all charred up in New Hope, they went down fighting.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it definitely clears up. There was one line in Return of the Jedi that I hoped that they gave a little more meaning to.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Luke's on the bridge on Endor, and Vader says, Obi-Wan once thought as you did, but you don't you don't know the power of the dark side. When he was, you know, telling me, you know, there's still good in you, blah, blah, blah. And I think this show has definitely cleared that up and given a lot more meaning to that. Because if you think of all the times on screen we have seen Vader and Obi-Wan interact, there was no point where Obi-Wan thought that Anakin or Vader was redeemable. And I think at this point you can tell that, okay, he actually did think that he could have been saved.
Well, and I also think Vader even helped him in a way when he told he was proud that he had killed Anakin, and Obi-Wan didn't kill Anakin in that last, you know what I mean, in that last battle.
Mm-hmm.
When
let's go back to where you had started with this. So Luke talking to Vader, and Vader saying that Obi-Wan once thought as you did, and the difference in the experiences Obi-Wan had with Vader versus the experiences Luke had with Vader. Obi-Wan was with Vader to see many of the things that he did over the entire span of his life. And for Luke, Vader was really just a legend. I mean, Luke didn't necessarily witness all of that devastation, all of that destruction, all of that hurt that Anakin caused immediately and directly through his own actions. Luke didn't witness Anakin lying to his comrades, his peers, his Jedi brothers and sisters, his master. He didn't experience those things. So I think it's easier for Luke to think Vader is redeemable because he's just going on the sense that he has, but he didn't get to walk through the Jedi Temple and see all of the younglings and Padawans and everyone that Anakin and the 501st mowed down in their place of worship and education. Where Obi-Wan was there, Obi-Wan experienced it. Obi-Wan legit fought with him several times where Luke did not. And they also had that familial connection, even though, Vader was a deadbeat dad, a distant father or whatever, but still different places. So I think it can be understandable why they don't see Vader's possibility of redemption the same way, only because of their different experiences.
Yeah. Well, I also think Obi-Wan was also one of the few people that saw the good, because I do think part of how Palpatine played Vader was a lot of Anakin's good deeds in the Clone Wars, I think, were purposefully missed. Like he saved pretty much everyone sitting in that council at least once in the Clone Wars. And I think Palpatine played it to make sure that he never got the credit that was due.
Yeah, and if you think about that playing, Palpatine didn't use the Force to do that.
No.
He didn't use mind tricks. He didn't use necessarily, unless he was the one that helped plant the dreams in Anakin's head, he mostly just played on the emotional aspect of things.
Yeah.
Knowing that Anakin had this peace in him, this arrogance in him, this pride in him, and he just fed on that and continued to pick and pick and pick until it just got to be overwhelming and too much for Anakin, and he chose different stuff. Which is frightening because all of us could do that. All of us have that ability to make different choices that could lead to such horrific devastation and catastrophe.
Yeah. Well, and it goes to what we were talking about earlier about positive fandom. Whoever you have in your ear, like, I know people always tell kids, watch out who you hang out with, your friends and that, but that does make a big difference of how, because when you have a bad day and who you're talking to and how they help you go through that pain that's what changes you. So he was close with Palpatine, and he's talking, Palpatine's probably reinforcing, hey, look, they should put you on the council. You did this, this, and this. And,
He's playing the long game. I put the chats on. Kevin chatted something big.
He said he thought he'd see Obi-Wan and Luke, and he was surprised and happy to see a brand new Leia story portrayed to perfection by Vivian Lyra Blair. And that to me is by far one of the best surprises of this whole entire show.
Yeah,
was feisty, punky little Princess Leia.
Yeah, and that little droid. I like that droid. The droid didn't surprise me because it was in the Volkswagen van commercial.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't surprised with that droid. But,
well, then this part might not surprise you. Then Heather already ordered one.
What, the van?
No, the Lola.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, no, because Droid Division has the 3D file. So
really,
yeah. So when my printers are free, that's my next thing to go get printed.
Oh, that's funny.
Because yeah, the Droid Division, their stuff is nice.
Yeah, Marcus already has one printed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he posted a very nice hodgepodge of different Star Wars things today that he was working on.
Oh yeah, he has a beautiful, like he redid his whole basement is nothing but a work area.
Which Marcus is this? I don't know if I'm friends with that guy yet.
Yeah, I mean you are. He was the guy with the beard at the movie.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta become more social. I gotta get one of these TikTok things so I can.
Yeah, he has a TikTok.
Start putting together that 3D printer money.
He's the one that did Luke, or no, he's the one that did Ben and C-3PO when we recorded the Shakespeare on CaritaCast.
Okay.
So,
which I decided I was.
Okay.
I was gonna say I did decide that I'm going to wait until, because I was gonna listen to it last weekend.
Oh, you got your drive now.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait and save that for the drive.
You might look at it. You might turn around halfway. What the hell's wrong with these people?
Who are these? So, please know that this is before I became the refined podcaster, and I didn't have a whole lot of experience recording stuff or confidence in my delivery behind the mic.
None of us.
I was a rookie then.
I forgot how to read. I was doing Jawas or something. I was reading their Jawas wrong. So yeah, that was, man, that seems like a lifetime ago, doesn't it, Ken? Like,
yeah, and that to me is just bonkers that we've had that much time pass since then.
Yeah,
I think we should get a couple of the golden books or something and do a little roundtable story time here.
Oh yeah.
Because there are so many of them that are available now.
No, we should get the really old ones. Like I did the Who Jab book on TikTok. We should get some of those really old, goofy ones that came out in the 70s.
The Rebel of Ord Mantell,
stuff like that. Yeah,
that'd be great. I think one of my favoriteest parts, and I know that's not a word, I understand. My most favorite part of this series is they're keeping some of the best parts of Star Wars. They're keeping the philosophy, they're keeping the lessons, they're keeping the deep thinking to it, and it's not just about flashy space battles and cool costumes and characters with names that you can't pronounce or don't even know. They're doing an amazing job of adding these new characters to the story that have depth and conflict and struggle, and that we want to know more about them. We want to understand where they came from, where they're going, how they fit in, and it's fantastic. And I would absolutely, positively, 1,000,000% get behind more Deborah Chow Star Wars.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one when Zoe mentioned Deborah Chow in her interview with Jordan Hembrough. That was one of the first negative comments she got on YouTube. Like, that's why I was like, what? because someone got mad because Zoe said something about diversity behind the camera is always good or something like that, and someone had a fit on a 19-year-old girl saying that on a Star Wars show. I was like, come on,
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed her direction and her art style that she had with this show. I thought, barring a few scenes that I thought just they either looked out of place or they looked like it was underfunded, 99.99% of this show was beautifully shot. Even down to the last tick of the clock, that very last scene.
Oh yeah.
I almost want to make that my wallpaper because it's just such a nice stylized shot that you don't see a lot of that in anything other than Star Wars. Like you don't have a lot of that diverse cinematography in a lot of shows. I mean, even so far as like the Marvel movies, you don't see a lot of that.
Well, when the planet that Vader and Obi-Wan are fighting on, to me, that was very Filoni looking. It reminded me of a lot of the planets he's used with those like cone towered, like
Lothal and stuff like that.
Yeah, it looked like Lothal. It looked like remember when Hera got the B-wing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It just the environment makes the people look so small that you have to focus on them. So,
speaking of which, can we all just give a round of applause that Vader finally got the high ground?
Yeah. Well, okay, so I know both of you didn't like the de-aging of Anakin.
Huh? Who said that?
I think you guys implied that last time. So
I don't think I applied that, did I?
I did. You mean the lack thereof?
Well, so I was rewatching Attack of the Clones, maybe, and the lighting on his face when he's kind of doing stuff evil, he looks more wrinkled up. Like not like he did in this show. I know that. But then it made me think, and I know I'm like a Star Wars apologist and I love everything Star Wars, but I'm just wondering with this technology, like I wondered if they wanted him to, that scene in Lord of the Rings when Bilbo goes after the ring from Frodo and his face, it's all like evil. I was wondering if they were just trying to, they didn't want to de-age him so much that they had to then computerize every line and grimace in his face. Because when I rewatched the Kenobi like for the third time, the face, it didn't really stand out to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder for us, all of us have watched Star Wars more than probably most human beings should watch Star Wars. But I wonder to the average person that just watches it once in a while, if they even noticed. I don't know.
Yeah, I honestly, I think it's just because we've seen so much of Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
Just in the thousands of hours combined between the three of us that we've seen episode 2 and 3, that's why it looks off.
Yeah, maybe.
I think the other part of reason might look off is because of how fresh it is. And right now, we're still in that really attentive, observant stage. We haven't just settled in 100% and just let it be.
Yeah,
because we know that they've used that technology. We look for it. We know that they've used the re-speecher technology, so we listen for it. There will come a point, and I don't know when. I can't put a time on it, but I know there'll be a point. I don't even recognize it anymore. I don't even see it anymore. Now it's just the show. I'm gonna sit back here, enjoy it in all of its high definition glory, and bask in the awesomeness of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I also think the plus side at least in my opinion, to Star Wars is they have the story is taking center stage. And as long as the story stay, as long as if they keep doing stories like Deborah Chow did, and I like Book of Boba Fett, but even The Mandalorian, all those TV shows, if you take the worst episode of any of the Star Wars TV shows, they're still better than most stuff that's out there.
Yeah, I think it was Doug Chang who said at one point, and I this is not a direct quote, it's just a general gist of one of the things he had made a comment about was it starts with story first.
Yeah.
And if you think way back to the early 70s when Star Wars made it onto the screen, before that it was George, a pad of paper and a pen. Then he shared those ideas with folks like Colin Cantwell and Ralph McQuarrie, who then drew pictures to take to movie executives to hopefully get this movie made. Then when they got the agreement to do that, they took those same pictures and took those to costume creators and prop people and made all the stuff that showed up on screen. But they wouldn't have gotten any of those images. They wouldn't have gotten any of those props if they hadn't have started off with George's stories.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're doing a super duper wonderful job of now is having those stories. And one, I think the most challenging parts about this is they're creating new stories that have the roots to connect to stuff that we know and love, while at the same time bringing in new parts that we didn't know about and connecting it to other stuff that may be coming down the path. It's like no other franchise out there. It's amazing. I absolutely love it.
Well, yeah, Blake mentioned about Vader getting all chopped off in all three sides. Before we watched it, I had said this, Zoe, I said, I wonder if they're going to bring in destroyed Vader from Force Unleashed. Like I was picturing Obi-Wan beating him up so he kind of looked like the Force Unleashed when Vader, like you can see his whole robot arm and he's all, tore up.
Mm-hmm.
But again, with what you were saying, Ken, it's those stories that, I think back of, there were so many people trying to copy Star Wars, and they get however many parts that make Star Wars work, whether it's 10 parts, 3 parts, whatever, they never got them all. I loved the old Battlestar Galactica when I was a kid, but it's not. I can't watch it as much as there's a couple episodes that I can watch, but it doesn't have that same feeling as when I watched Star Wars, which was made before them.
Yep.
Like if you would watch and I, hopefully not hurting. I like Battlestar Galactica, and if you like it, that's fine. But if you look at the TV show, you would think it was made 10 years before New Hope.
Which is even funnier because many of the guys who worked on Battlestar Galactica had actually worked on Star Wars.
Yep.
John Dykstra and some of those folks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because I think they got in trouble for some of it.
Yep.
They got in trouble for a little bit of it.
Yep.
Well, then I
want to compliment the two of you just for a moment. I want the world to hear this appreciation that I have for you. So in a matter of a short span of time, this nerd trio has brought up Marvel. We've brought up Lord of the Rings. We've brought up Battlestar Galactica on a Star Wars podcast. So I just want you guys to know I fully, 100%, absolutely adore, respect, and appreciate the level of nerdery that you bring to this conversation each and every time we get together. I love it.
Well, we'll have to crowbar in Dungeons and Dragons, and then we're set.
You beat me to it. I was gonna say it.
Roll the dice. I rolled a 20 for charisma.
I have a whole shelf of Dungeons. I can't wait to give John the tour.
I'm so excited
because see when Missy and I first got married, we rented a house, and I had a Star Wars room, just a little office, and it was a terrible house. Everything was bad, and then we lived in another house which wasn't much better. Both times when we lived there, everybody wanted to come and visit. Everybody, they wanted to stop in and see you. And then we saved up for years, and we got a new house. It's nothing fancy, but my first couple of years, I couldn't get people to come over. I bought a plasma TV. I was like, so, I couldn't get people to come over. I was like, what's wrong? They only come over when my house is like half tore up. So. But yeah, I can't wait to give you the tour. I got let me see if I can. My Father's Day gift is hanging on the ceiling.
Mm.
The Vulture droid. Sappy got me
that thing looks like it's 18 inches long.
Oh, it's longer than that. It's the old display. They used to have remember the
that's
big
awesome.
display? So yeah, it's like a and here's where I think the toy companies failed us. Is they would build these ships out of this stuff, and it'd be ridiculous. All we wanted was something that big made out of cheap plastic that you could throw around. Like that thing, I don't think you could really break it. It's just molded plastic. That's all we wanted when we were kids. That's why Mego did so well. Look, I'm bringing in Mego. But that's why Mego did so well, because like the Batmobile was just a blown piece of plastic. You could roll it down your driveway, and unless a car hit it, it wasn't going to break. And they were like $6.
Yeah, don't even get me started on toy prices now. I'm a Amazon Prime person, and every once in a while they'll send me those little notifications. You might be interested in this because you spent $6,000 on toys in the past. So I got an advertisement for a 3 3/4 inch TIE fighter that just recently came out. I think I sent it to you. $92. That's how much it was before the sale price.
That was out for a while because I bought one of those
at $92.
No, for $30 on eBay Market or on Facebook Marketplace. I have it because we tore it all apart. We're going to paint it to be like the Sabine paint scheme.
Yeah,
the yellow and stuff like that. Because it's floating around here somewhere. It's just we got it right before COVID hit, and then I started redoing the basement, so it kind of just got shuffled around.
Oh, gotcha.
But I don't know, how far are you from Jordan's shop? You're pretty far.
I think I'm just as far from here as I am to your house.
Yeah, because he's in North Jersey. He's above Manhattan.
Oh, so maybe it's farther than that. Maybe it's probably like maybe 3 hours.
You should take a ride there.
Oh,
for your toy.
Yeah, I just wouldn't want to show up alone because I know of Jordan, but I don't know if Jordan would recognize me if I knocked on the door.
No, but his shop is open. He's open like Saturday, like noon to 5. That's the only time his shop is open.
Well, I've been turned away from stores before, so I just want.
Well, see, we should figure out a road trip because then we could just meet somewhere along the way, and then
that'd be awesome.
Because Zoe wants to go up there before she goes back to California because he's always been good to her. But like I said, his shop's nice. I mean, he has some oddball stuff too. But I don't know how kids could play with toys anymore just from the price of them.
Yeah, now they're not even really built to be played with. I mean, when you look at what they're doing with even just the packaging. Yeah. I mean, the packaging has fancy paper. It's got like this metallic sheen to it or whatever. And I know that as a kid, I would keep the card backs because I'm a dork. But we still played with all of the toys. Now it's I need this box to be pristine with the factory tape still on it. No dents in the plastic. No ruffling of the corners.
I went to a toy show Saturday in Maryland, and a guy had a stack of card backs, and he was selling them for $15 each. But they looked like they were mutilated. Like you couldn't have done anything with them. Like they weren't even displayable.
Wait a minute.
They were old.
You went to a toy show.
Yeah.
And the guy was selling the card backs, the things that other non-dorks would have thrown away.
Yeah. For $15 each. But they were like really rough. Like they weren't.
So it may as well have been a piece of cardboard with the Star Wars logo on it, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Heck, I could print that out on my printer right now. I don't.
Well, that's what the card backs aren't as important as they used to be. Oh man, I just had like a Charlie horse. See, I should stand. The sitting is nice, but
is that a podcast related injury?
It is. I'm used to stand. I got my chair. No, it's me getting ready for mowing. Like it was going to rain, so I was like racing the rain today. I was like, I'm going to get this mowed before it rains, So I don't know. I mean, make sure we're not fighting like 10 feet of grass while we're making our Tuscans.
Yeah,
no,
the Tuscans aren't used to grass; they're just used to being in the sand.
The only stand there, which I had to refrain from buying, a guy was selling the bigger figures, that came out 10 years ago, the big,
Yep.
And their prices were pretty good. Like he had their prices, his range from $10 to $30 for like you could have got a Luke in Stormtrooper armor. The box was beat up, but for someone who wants to open them and display them, he wanted like $20 for it. I think it came with like the tentacle from the Dianoga or something like that.
Yeah, we were recently at a show and I found some of those. I got a Jar Jar Binks. Who else? A Jar Jar Binks, an Andor, and like 3 other ones. So I got 5 of them for $50.
Yeah, it's not bad. Well, I took Anthony to the show. I took Anthony to the store, Just Press Play. It's like an independently owned GameStop, but in the back they have Star Wars figures. And they sell carded figures from, any of the new stuff on, from Powers of the Force, the bulky ones on, and they have those big figures that you can get, pretty inexpensively. I have the really tall ones that came out just recently. That my shore trooper just took a dive off the window when I was moving stuff, when I was hanging that thing and broke his head off. So I do a shore trooper with a broken neck. So.
Yeah, and it's funny. I just thinking about those 12-inch figures. Now those are a 12. Just in the broad scheme of things, a 12-inch figure you could get for either $10 or you can get the sideshow ones, which I have a couple of, which are $300.
Yeah, but the sideshow are way nicer.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I've got the Hot Toys Captain Rex and 501st Clone Trooper, and then I have the original sideshow Obi-Wan in his clone armor.
Nice.
And then I've got the season 2 Mandalorian that should be here by the end of the year.
Oh, with the Beskar armor?
Yep. Yeah, and it's actually chromed as opposed to
nice.
Just like a painted silver.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Kevin brought up something which I think I might have said last week, where they wanted to give him the full appreciation of his new contribution. And I do think that de-aging thing, I do wonder how that's going to fall into play with actors and actresses in the scheme of like contracts. You know what I mean? Like, just like now, like when you made Star Wars back then, there was no such thing as distribution rights and likeness rights and all that kind of stuff. So you wonder if there's going to be aging and de-aging contract, you know what I mean, in your contract.
Oh, I would bet, because look what recently happened with Stan Lee. So I think Stan Lee's family agreed to sell his likeness to Disney. So now Stan Lee could show up in Marvel movies forever.
Yeah.
And I think as long as the folks understand it, I mean, if you think back to the mid 70s when they were making these, they had no idea that this was ever going to be a thing. So I can't imagine back then people like Peter Mayhew signed on board to, have his likeness, in a video vault for perpetuity, and then they could just use it whenever, or not necessarily Peter because he's a costume character, but Harrison Ford, for instance, or Carrie Fisher.
Well, and this stems from I think it was the estates of the Three Stooges, or certain Three Stooges. They wound up suing because there was no likenesses clause, and people were making money generations later on their great grandparents. And I think the Three Stooges and some of the other people years ago sued. There's some rules in California.
Oh wow. Oh, we got another viewer tonight. We got E-Girl back with us. Good to see you.
Nice. Yeah, nice. Yeah. I've just been getting ready for Saturday, so I'm excited. But Zoe's having all her RA friends over, so they are going to be building custom Mando helmets.
So is there going to be like a kids table and a Tusken table, or is it just going to be all one?
Because they're like John's age, some of them,
Yeah, I was going to say, Ken, if you start making that kind of distinction, I'm going to be out of the Tusken group.
But they're just coming this is a armor party slash. I guess it's kind of like Zoe's kind of going away party, because like there's the and it goes to Star Wars with family. Your family is who you're with. It's not necessarily who you're born to. And those RAs were Zoe's family for a year. Like they worked together, all that, and you know, a lot of them are still going to be RAs in Temple, but she's going to California. She'll be on her own, you know, because she has a roommate, but she only met the roommate because the girl asked her if she wanted to be her room, you know. So it's going to be that, and I don't think any of them have built costumes before. So I was trying to explain to Zoe, I was like, I'm just going to give them resin. I'm going to let them try the resin method of smoothing out the prints, you know. So,
well, with that in mind, and considering what they're doing with it, we may not need to go as whole hog as we often do with the things that we're making. Yeah. And if theirs are a little rough, okay, it's not gonna have to go to an app team.
Right, and if they get a whole Mando helmet done, in one day, I'll be surprised. Yeah, I think it's more of just a hangout thing, but
yeah, it'll be really great for them for the group pictures. You know, like you said, it's a going away party, and look,
yeah,
we got this Mando bash with these weird dudes in the background making Tuscans, and that was referring to you too, John. You're in the weird dudes club.
I know. Well, and the good thing is like, even like you said, probably none of them have experience building costumes. They're going to be surrounded by a dozen people who have, and who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just something fun. Like there's a couple guys like Puck's coming. He's not even going to build anything. He has a Tusken, so he's going to bring his mask. I hope Marty brings his mask, because Marty has 2 Tusken masks, so I hope he brings his Tusken masks to just to show. I have Safi's mask, because there's different styles. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I just know we're going to have fun doing it. You know, I mean,
ain't no party like a Tusken building party.
Right.
Hey,
right.
Like I said, this is a vacation for me. I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and the weather's supposed to be nice. So I mean, it'll be a little warm, but, you know.
I'm contemplating, because I don't know if I'm going to bring my TK with me or not. For the simple fact of it's a 6-hour drive, and it's supposed to be 90 degrees.
Yeah, that ABS, you could have your cod piece bent the wrong direction if you're not careful.
Which is never a comfortable thing.
No.
So I think I'm like 73% sure I'm going to leave it here and just work on it this year.
Well, and you probably honestly, you want to do any fit and finish on Kylo. That's probably what I would put your efforts on Kylo.
Yeah. I cannot tell you how excited I am for that. Just super off topic.
Yeah.
I have been dying to do this costume for 7 years.
I didn't realize we had been on topic yet, so no need to apologize.
And it is the best. It is a good. It's my favorite Kylo. It's just that, you know. I mean, it's because the first time I saw him, you know, when he was like deflecting. He was stopping laser beams in the middle of the air. You know.
So here's a silly question related to Kylo: is there a CRL for the shirtless Kylo?
So they did there's not, because I checked because I was curious, but I do remember they did an April Fool's joke of a Ben Swallow CRL.
I just love that phrase. That's hilarious.
But I was going through all the different CRLs, because I think there's 4 or 5 different Kylo Ren CRLs. The nice thing about Kylo is his costume. The only thing that changes is the outer robe through all the different iterations. So you've got obviously the Force Awakens, where you've got the long surcoat, and then you've got the Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker are exactly the same, because it's just that shorter tunic. The pants are the same, the boots are the same, the undershirt with the what's the phrase? The pleated sleeves it's all the same. So literally the only thing that changes is the overcoat.
Well, the helmet changes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nothing, like you said, nothing overly major.
Right.
You know, it's not like a New Hope Vader versus, Empire Strikes Back Vader
Get that out
or
of the
Return of the
corner.
Jedi Vader.
Yeah. So I think what my next, I think now that I've cut my hair, I can finally put my mind to it. I have to get a Revenge of the Sith Anakin.
Oh yeah.
So that I think that's going to be the next costume I start to try and track down.
Well,
I'm surprised you didn't want to do Tasu Leech from The Force Awakens. That guy from Kanja Club.
I like
Yeah.
Well, the I dropped something. The check it with Cosplay Sky and some of those places if you can't find someone to sew it, because sometimes those are pretty accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. My biggest thing is the belt.
Nice pineapple.
Oh, I love it. It's an acorn.
So I think I have 6 of these printed. The problem is I had to split them because my big printers are running. So I ran these on my Creality, my Flash Forge, and so this takes 14 hours, and this takes 5.
What size PVC should we bring up for the gaffy stick?
I have PVC, but I'm thinking, and I'm gonna buy some, and if people don't use them, I'll take them back to Lowe's. I'm thinking 1.5 inch or 1.25 inch wooden dowel rod.
Well, one of the things I caution folks on doing that right away is if they got to transport that thing in the car, they may want to build it in such a way that it can be screwed together. And
well, that's why I'm saying a dowel rod, because you build it first and then you cut it in half and you can put a threaded piece. But the reason I'm thinking the dowel rod, the problem with the PVC, it bends a little bit. So you're going.
I was thinking that the dowel rod went into because that's what I.
No,
my pole sword is like almost 7 foot tall, and I ran dowel rod all the way through.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking having dowel rod because then you can carve in it and put some personalization on it. Because before the canon of the Tuscans it was scrap pipe. But then we saw with the Book of Boba Fett, it's not necessarily true for your handle, and they have a fancier, wood. So, but I printed a bunch of these, and then if anyone who's there Saturday, if I don't have enough printed, because I have all my filaments, all my spools, so whatever's there until Friday, nothing. I'll be out. But I made these heavy enough. Like I could have made them thinner, but I just know how much Safi's gaffy stick gets banged around when you're carrying it through a con. And if these, you can't crush them. Like I think they're 10% infill. They're solid.
Wow.
I usually use 5 to 8%, but again, I just know because this is the end that people are going to sit on the ground when they're holding their gaffy stick, and if you make it really light and someone bumps it with their foot and crushes it, so. But I don't know. This just has a hole in it. I got tons of small PVC pipe. My lights went down.
Now with the dowel rod though,
you drill the center out. You drill a hole in the center, like a 3/4 inch, and then you put your bent piece of PVC there to make the angle. And then the other side, you drill a hole in it, and you put your
blade, your spike,
your Sharpie sticky end.
Right, but
the pointy part.
But doesn't if you when you bend PVC, it's gonna kink, and then you
you put a 90 degree. You just put a 90 degree. You put a PVC 90 degree on.
Ah, okay.
Just because this, and I think Safi's I put a 90 degree. I'll have to get hers, but when you put the 90 degree on that and you put it right on the wood, this people will look at this. They're not going to notice that it's that,
Except for us, we'll
right.
notice because we're
right. And they actually have a file. They have a file for the 90 degree. I just thought that would be a very weak 90 degree. Again, just having someone who's carried a gaffy stick around, you want it to be somewhat solid. I wish I would have printed these. My only hope is that super glue holds these suckers on. But
Are we gonna play Pin the Tail on the Bantha when we get there?
Yeah. I have bocce ball. We could play Star Wars bocce ball. Try to hit groundhogs. I had a groundhog in my garage yesterday, right? So I opened my door, and I'm cleaning the garage, and I saw this face sticking out right in my mold where all my molds are. I'm like, man, if I think it's in one of my mold, wrecks one of my, it was on the shelf where my 3PO chest and back are. I don't even know how much money those molds cost me to build. Groundhog scared the crap out of me. Because I leave in the summer, I leave the garage door open all day because I'm working, and so he probably just rolled in there, and I came in when he was in there.
Speaking of your garage, I was mapping out my course this morning while I was at work,
Mm-hmm.
and I looked at like the street view image of your house.
Yeah, did you see? I told you mine's like the white trash because it was the car came when we had just got back from a trip and had a flat tire on the one car.
Yeah. So not only did you have a flat tire in the one car, I have to know what is sitting. There's a probably about a 2.5, 3 foot tall white figure sitting in the middle of your garage that I have to know what it was.
Oh wait a minute, I gotta look at that now.
That's the ghost.
It might just be a torso of a Hang on a sec. I gotta look now.
Kevin says you should make a customized Safi stick instead of a Gaffy stick.
Ah, true. She could sign it for you. She had a really cool gaffy stick that we made out of a bent piece of wood, and we were at a troop in Philadelphia, and I think she left it there. And I'll have to find it. It was just a unique, trying to find for 3. I don't want to count my.
Yeah, let's not.
Yeah, it's funny. My whole neighborhood looks pristine, and then you look at my house and like, what? That's a robot. That's this remote control robot that it doesn't work. But I do a haunted Halloween walk, so I would make like a wrecked alien spaceship and stand him there. I don't even know if I still have him. I probably do. He's probably in my playhouse. Yeah, that's him.
Does he have a name?
It's in Spanish. I don't even know what it is, but it's a little robot. I forgot all about it.
Me gusta.
Hold on, Ken. I just took a quick snip of it that I'm gonna send you.
Okay.
That way you can see what we're talking about here.
Like I said, the whole neighborhood is pristine, and we had just got back from Jamaica, and my van had a flat tire, so I just I'm gonna go take the tire because we have a place in town that actually plugs them. I mean,
I love it.
So
I love that's funny.
The hatch is open on the
on
caravan too.
Oh yeah. That was our old caravan.
I love it. It almost looks like a shop vac or something. It could be.
I thought it was like a transformer or like a Voltron head.
The robot from the Jetsons. It was Rosie.
No, I think I still have him. I'm pretty sure I still have it.
I just thought that was so funny because I didn't expect that.
Of course, Mike. Sure.
No, because I'm driving in my car to take the tire, and I see the Google car come. I'm like, oh crap! I knew exactly because that won't come back. That won't come back for another 20 years.
Right. This was 6 years ago, July of 2016. Yeah. I had to bring that up. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
So where did we leave off talking about Kenobi? I forgot.
Oh God.
I don't know. Well, so we have the. I'm just trying to think of the stuff that surprised me about. I was surprised. Well, the Leia storyline. I was surprised about that. Pleased and surprised. And I was surprised at how broken Kenobi was.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of had the expectation of like, oh, he's gonna be the same Jedi warrior that he was at the end of Episode 3, and that was not the case at all.
See, one of the things I find interesting about how broken he was, he didn't spend a lot of time talking about his brokenness. Like, we as fans, we can very easily talk about it. We can talk about all the loss and tragedy and destruction and hurt he's experienced, but that it didn't come out on screen. It didn't show up in an explanation. It didn't show up in a conversation. We just see the results of all of that. Going back to what I said earlier about he was so broken that he turned away one of his own team, his own group, a Jedi like himself, instead of saying, I can't do everything, but I can give you this, or I can suggest, nope, you got to run. Give up on it. We lost. You're on your own.
Yeah, take this, bury it in the sand, and forget about it, and run.
But like everything about him, like that's what I liked about it. That's what I think I liked about Star Wars. They didn't explain everything, so for someone who didn't really care, they would never thought of him as broken as much as we did. But he was living in a cave, like
he stunk.
Yeah, he was just. I mean, he literally, like, if he was in that same like place that a lot of people are after a big tragedy. It's a reflection of life. Like George Lucas, used Star Wars to life. Deborah Chow used it to reflect. Like you think of, we're 2022 here, but you think of the veterans that spent all that time. We have a whole generation and a half of veterans from Afghanistan and Iraq that are going through that same trauma, and living in that same. They went from being it's that line of like Rambo when he says, I could drive all this and this and that, and now I can't even get a job, and they're in that same boat. And he was kind of in that. He was in the in the Jedi Council, general, this and that, best friend, boom, and then gone.
And much of what he learned. Much of what he became identified with, gone, removed, replaced by a single focus of watching after this child. This child that we don't want anyone to know about.
Yeah. And he was blamed. And he was blamed by the few people that were as close to family as he could have, Owen. He was blamed for what happened to Anakin.
Yeah, like he doesn't already feel bad enough as it is.
I'll just kick you. Yeah. Well, I think Owen was feeling a little bit tough knowing that Obi-Wan wasn't going to go Jedi on him. You know what I mean? I think he's like, Now let's see. Someone said yes. We're talking about all the Obi-Wan stuff. So
so not specifically Episode 6 yet.
We don't have the organization of Star Wars Geek Girl when she talks with an outline and talks in order and stays on topic. So, which they don't stay on topic either.
Yeah, it's usually, hey, what do you guys want to talk about this week?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to talk about that for 5 minutes. Drone on about something completely different for 25. Get back on topic for about 20 minutes, and rinse and repeat.
But we are
don't
going to try.
We have to mention the inflatable Falcon.
Yes, yes. But we are going to try something different at 9:55. We are going to close this stream and try. We have a second stream that's going to pop up at 10. This is my idea. So if it goes horribly wrong, I'll take all the blame. But
you heard that, Kevin and E-Girl and
so it's this
and Loud Hits.
I was just thinking it might keep us on topic a little more. But yeah, we haven't missed the inflatable Falcon. But I am going to get out the inflatable Vader for the party. So we won't have an inflatable Falcon Saturday, but we will have the giant Darth Vader that sat on top of Burger King. I'll put it out in my front yard.
All right. Now we're talking.
It takes up my whole front yard.
Pictures of this. We have to record some videos of this. I want this to be remembered. I want this to go down in history as the world's bestest Tuscan party.
In Quarryville. I think if we put in Quarryville, we'll be fine.
Oh, in that case, okay. Do you think there are lots of other Tuscan parties out there that we have to compete with?
There's at least one. We can at least say that for sure.
Okay.
No, because I liked how they ended 6 with him with all that gear, and he had Jedi robes back on, under robes, and it was very reminiscent of that statue they made of Obi-Wan years ago, where he had all the stuff piled on, and he had goggles. Like this time, he had the goggles. Someone did their homework. Like they did more than just a Google search of Obi-Wan when they were planning on this stuff.
Well, I mean, look at who Deborah Chow hangs out with. She spends time with David, Dave Filoni, with Jon Favreau. She's at Lucasfilm.
That's where I want to hang
Pablo Hidalgo, Leland Shee. I wouldn't be surprised if Leland Shee just shows up and says, "Oh, by the way, we got to make sure that this character shows up," because they would have been on Tatooine at this time.
Yeah. So the look that he had at the very end of the episode was actually from a comic run. I forget exactly what it was, but
the newest one or from a Dark Horse one?
I think from a newer one.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but that was ripped straight off the page.
Cool.
Yeah, because I mean, even down to having the goggles around his neck and the not quite the Jedi robe, but just kind of that tunic.
Yeah, well, it was very similar to the tunic he was wearing when he found Luke.
Right.
But
do you think those were things that he picked up on the planet before he escaped on the path, or do you think they were stuff that he had on Tatooine in the cave? He just chose not to wear it. Where do you think he got it?
It might have been from when he went to the path, because they had all those Jedi sabers that were like the Jedi were kind of just getting rid of to protect themselves. But yeah, and it, he got a house now. We know he got a house, and I think
we don't know he has a house yet. We assume he's going to one, but
he has to have it soon, because I think that's when. No, I thought some bounty hunters came after Luke and Owen or something, and he was at his house. If I remember one of the comic books, and he was in his hut. I don't remember.
I don't think Obi-Wan was in his hut. I know Luke was in his hut.
Well, no, there was that one, but I think there was one. Something to do with Owen too, as well. But I don't know. I like that Luke's interaction with the sister was not very much. Like, because he was kind of knocked out, because he couldn't have seen a whole full out lightsaber battle or anything, or that would have ruined a little bit. I don't know. I feel like
it makes me wonder. Did you read the Kenobi book?
I did not.
Okay, so there was a Kenobi novel that came out a few years ago, and I'm trying to place in my head when that happened in relation to this show. Like, was that after this show or before this show? Because Kenobi did a whole bunch of stuff on Tatooine. So I got to figure that timing out of when those two things occurred. When was what, or what was when?
Yeah, thanks. Kevin mentioned Ms. Marvel. Yeah, Zoe's big on that. I'm behind an episode or two on that, but she really likes the Ms. Marvel.
Oh, so you don't want to do it? We can do a reaction of the episodes we've seen of Ms. Marvel.
I don't know. I don't have any reactions because I never read the comic book. So I like them, but I never read the comic book.
Because I think it'd be right along the lines of our typical stuff. Let's talk about topic A for 6 seconds, and oh, look, a squirrel.
Yeah. Hey, I blame Kevin this time. Well, yeah, I see.
I said it 2 weeks ago. I understand I am not the target demographic for Miss Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
The first episode just did not land for me, though.
Yeah. But see, that's where I think the TV shows, I think it took me a while, and I think I think it was easier now, but especially the Marvel shows, but even the Star Wars shows, I had to realize they weren't movies. You know, and we get spoiled on Netflix or any of these other things that there for a while we're releasing a whole season at one drop. You know, like so you just watch the entire season in one day, and it doesn't always work that way. I think the Clone Wars taught me anything is you gotta some of those episodes might feel like filler until you get like 6 more episodes later, and you're like, oh yeah, that's why they did that. You know.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I think filler is one of those titles, one of those labels that folks have come up with because it's a convenient way of describing something without truly appreciating what it is.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't like that episode. It was just filler. Well, if you had waited, you would have understood that thing you called filler accurately, deliberately connected this piece from way over there to this other piece that you haven't seen yet. And if you had just let it develop, you would have seen the importance of it or understood it and appreciated it a little bit better or differently instead of just dismissing it as filler. Because, like, for instance, how many episodes of the animated Clone Wars are there? There's
Oh yeah.
bunches.
Yeah.
And there are so many of them that if you really marinate on all of it, there's so much connection. There's so much coolness in each of those. And I don't think any of them were a waste of time, a waste of ink, a waste of acting. They
Right.
connected to either a bigger theme, they connected to different parts of the story, or they gave us an opportunity to learn about some of these smaller background characters that nobody cares about in other franchises. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we talk about Marvel. We enjoy watching Marvel movies.
Right.
And if we were to list out all of the Marvel characters that we know, it would be a fraction of the names of the Star Wars characters that we know. And not only do we know their names, we probably know what planet they're from. We know what their
ship
favorite
they
lunch
fly.
is, what ship they bought, what blaster they have, the manufacturer of their boots, and the screws necessary to hold their holster on their belt. Because we've sourced it out and we need to get that before we build the costume.
Boshak. I just say Boshak. You know.
The guy who wore the same spacesuit as in another British TV show or movie from the 70s.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's I do want to show you guys something I found. Let me see if I can share this. This is somewhat us related, but it's more podcast related. This here. Have you been to Podchaser?
Not yet, no.
Okay, this is not I'm not getting paid by them or anything, but you can set up an account and you can promote, like, so you can make your favorite podcasts and make a list. You can, and it's just kind of neat. It's not just Star Wars related. So if you want to organize your thoughts on podcasts, because a lot of times people say, hey, what's your favorite podcast? And I always forget one. And John's podcast was not on here. So I added the Beskar bucket. You can add them. So then, John,
awesome.
you can go in when you set up your account. You can claim ownership of the Beskar bucket, and then you can update that.
And that's called Podchasers.
Podchasers, because I use Chartables. I use Chartables sometimes for Zoe's podcast, but I haven't. I was looking at putting more stuff on the podcast, and I stumbled on this morning. So
Nice.
like here, I have mine. So like I have my profile, and then I started filling in my top 8. Right here,
Very cool.
Last
Look
two,
at that.
I can't.
Forces behind Star Wars. How cool.
Yeah, look at that.
Beskar bucket, Karita
Beskar
cast.
bucket. Yeah, so if I click on Beskar bucket, right there's it pulled all your stuff with your episodes and stuff like that, and then creators and guests you can add right here.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I don't know. It could. I just from what I saw, it was pretty cool. So I got to update my picture though. People are gonna be like, "Oh man, podcasting has been rough on you," but that's like a 30-year-old.
It's like you've been living on Tatooine for 19 years.
Yeah. Well, I was looking.
Is that what Coreyville does to you?
Yeah. No, I found I got to get a picture because that was my other gripe when people were complaining about how he doesn't look like, Alec Guinness or whatever. Well, first off, it's a different actor, and who gives a crap? But secondly, I don't think I had a brown beard like 9 years ago. So, it's not the age between like 40 and 60, you change pretty quickly. It's a quick change, So, but and the Vader costume looked good. Made me wanted to get my Vader done. So
It sounded like Larry the Cable Guy for a second there.
Yeah.
Get Vader done.
Get Vader done.
There are two things that I'm very much so hopeful for after seeing Vader with the split open mask.
Yeah.
I hope we either get like a new Hot Toys figure of him battle damaged, or just someone makes a sculpt that you can add to a previous Vader. And I really hope that there's a CRL for that, because I would love to see some battle damage Vaders walking around.
There was a couple good Vaders. I want to say it was Orlando that they did the Hayden Shaw. Is that Hayden Shaw? Christian Shaw. Who's the guy who played Kristen Shaw?
Sebastian Shaw.
Sebastian Shaw. Sorry. They did Sebastian.
It's Hayden
Shaw
Christensen.
Yeah, that's right. They did, but they did like the guy took his helmet off and he was all in full makeup. So he had had the split helmet and all that kind of stuff. So that was pretty cool.
I think if I were to do a face character, my best bet would be to do a decraniated one, because that's the best look I got. I'm so much better with costume characters that have a full helmet on.
I'm with you on that one.
Yep.
Though I just got I got a text from Zoe. She's trooping a ball game in August, and she's like, "Is there any chance we could get Ahsoka done by then?" So July might be a little busier than I planned.
Yeah. Also, just came to mind. Did you guys hear the rumor today that came out?
No.
Mike, you might have saw it on my Instagram story.
No.
Cameron,
I wasn't on much today.
Fair. Cameron Monaghan is reported to have signed on to play Cal Kestis in a live-action show for Disney Plus.
Nice.
Wow.
Now, is that who verified it? Because that also could that you got to make sure it's not like he signed on to do another video game.
Right. Yeah, I don't. Let me see if I can't find it. It was all over my news feed today.
Cool. Well, that's cool. He deserves the movie, because the video game, that's still, as much as video games are big, that's still such a small fraction of the Star Wars fandom.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the way that the video games are created, as much as I love the stories, you don't get to really take it all in as a story, because you're so busy playing it.
Right.
I love the folks who will take the time and effort to splice together all the cut scenes and all of that, so you can just sit back. I don't have to worry about controls. I don't got to worry about dodging this laser blast or jumping off this giant toad frog thing. I can just witness the stories and all the different parts, because there was so much depth to that video game, so many really cool connections, that because I was so busy trying to find out where this Wookiee is, that I missed some of the story parts.
Yeah, someone was saying here about all the Jedi that passed through. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I was hoping without that. I was like, is there any way Sal got in as Voss, just for a split second, because they had so many of the super fans in the show, because you had Rexing around and Corey and Steele and all those guys. I was like, is there any way?
Also, Michael MGF, if you guys know who that is at all.
I don't. I might. What's he do?
Mike, you might not. Ken, you're my better hope on that. He is a Lego customizer. He does minifigures and mocks and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
I follow some Lego people. That's cool.
Michael MGF. He actually made himself a minifigure of his character.
Nice.
So he was in episodes 5 and 6.
See, so let's start asking for it. Let's make the request. We had recorded an episode of the forces behind Star Wars just last night, actually, just yesterday, and we asked Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau and Kathleen Kennedy to put us in something because we know that's becoming a thing. So let's ask all those listeners out there. I know that Leland Shee listens to the Inflatable Falcon because why wouldn't he?
Why wouldn't he?
So let's ask Leland Shee what if the three of us were musicians? Like we were traveling minstrels who were on one of these planets performing in one of these cantinas during some ruckus, some shenanigans.
There you go.
You know, do you think that's something that the two of you could get behind?
Dude, I would just stand there and hold someone's coffee. You know?
Yeah, I'd pay thousands of dollars just to even be there. Not even on screen, just to exist in that realm.
I'm working on it. There's always my 20-year plan to get into Star Wars. You know, it's finally coming to fruition.
Don't forget your roots.
I won't. I don't forget. It's good.
What if you ask Don Johnson for help?
Yeah, Don Johnson.
Yeah. You've got Hollywood connections, man.
Hey, that's the celebration. The celebration was 50% fun and 50% networking this past celebration. So
hey, at least it was a healthy balance.
Yeah. We just forgot about food and sleep.
Why do you need that stuff when you've got the Force?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's Jay. Okay, cool. Yeah, he's
what was it that Lyra said? Trust in the Force.
Yeah, I think Jay is working on a custom
costume.
Custom Force user. Something.
Ooh.
I don't know nothing. I don't know. I sent him to, was it Dark Empire? They do custom, like they're similar to the Man Who Works, right?
Yes, but from what I understand, the Dark Empire is more of the evil side of the Force Empire, or the Force users.
They're Force users, and I think they do custom like Imperials too. Like you can be General who's a what's it, you know.
Okay. Oh, Kevin asked the question too. Are we ready for a Quinlan Voss path-related Disney? Oh my goodness, yes.
I'd sell my soul.
And just out of curiosity, you guys may have the answer to this because I didn't read the Dark Disciple book or listen to it or
You
however
should.
it came out.
So good. He doesn't die.
What about Asajj?
She dies.
Oh.
Spoiler. She dies.
The book's been out for like 6 years, hasn't it?
Yeah. I think there's, you know, I go back and forth with Star Wars podcasts and Star Wars. I understand spoilers on feeds on your social media, but video shows, and because if you watch some of the Star Wars shows, the thumbnail will spoil it before you if you're not careful. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know, that's and also Germany lost World War One. Spoiler alert! If anyone see what happens with, you know,
but I would definitely, I would absolutely, positively love a story of the past, and it makes me think. So there's that new show that they teased at Celebration, the Skeleton Crew. Do you think, and I know we shouldn't be speculating and all that kind of nonsense. However, I'm going to ask you to because I have that kind of friendship with you guys. Do you think that the Skeleton Crew could be about the path?
Oh, I think so. Or the skeleton crew. Well, it doesn't say the time frame for that, right?
I don't remember.
I thought it was supposed to be post Empire, but I could be very wrong.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But wouldn't that just be the time post Empire? Or no, this is mid Empire. This is height Empire. Never mind.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. But I think that it also has the potential of. It also has the potential. The path has, or that the path. That show has the potential of like crisscrossing other storylines without getting involved, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Oh goodness, yeah.
So, because I mean, I don't know how to say that. Sometimes I think we do need Star Wars that's not important to the overall everything. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah.
Well-
I mean, The Mandalorian is essentially that.
Yeah,
It's-
that's what I'm saying. Like we need.
Maybe not though. Not with the
Well-
with the Mandalorian. I can see where you're going with it and why that would make sense. And I think one of the beautiful things about the Mandalorian is it has the potential to connect, because that's not done yet. They're just getting ready to get into season 3, but I think they're working to connect the original trilogy to the sequel trilogy with all the stuff that they've been doing with Dr. Pershing and Grogu and cloning and those sort of things. So at the surface, it may be not important or not connected to the bigger picture, and it may turn out to be bigger than we had anticipated.
Yeah.
I hope that we don't have to wait. So this is the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones. 2 decades. And the prequels are, I think, just now getting into that renaissance state where folks are coming out of the woodwork and are confidently and comfortably saying, hey, I like the prequels. They were great. And we're going to make more stuff that's connected to them. I hope we don't have to wait 5, 10, 20 years for them to make stories connected to or within the sequel trilogies.
Yeah.
Because I think those are equally great. And if we wait that long, we miss the opportunity of using some of those actors and I don't mean using them like a tool, but benefiting from those actors still being in their youth, still being in their prime, still being able to jump into that role without having to worry too much about de-aging technology or using re-speecher to get their voice or whatever, to flush out more of those stories and or propel them even further than where they ended.
Well, and don't you think that kind of depends on the actors themselves?
Well, partially, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't think of any actor or actress who showed up on screen as a captive, as a prisoner. I mean, they chose to sign on board and do it.
But I'm saying, like, because I think the actors of the original trilogy, they kind of influenced how, when we got the newer ones to a certain point, like a lot of them distanced themselves from Lucasfilm, so there was no chance of the sequels right after the you know what I mean? Like,
well, did they distance themselves from Lucasfilm, or do they feel like they had to based on how the fans were treating them? Because those aren't necessarily the same.
I think Harrison Ford distanced himself because he was just tired of the character. Because it was a different time then. There was no such thing as doing a franchise of movies. You're maybe not quite old enough to remember, but there was a big push for that in the 70s and 80s, where stars would have a good thing going and they would walk away because they didn't want to get typecast. Like, and you look at every successful television show in that era, you had Dukes of Hazzard, Happy Days, many others where they would just walk away because they didn't want to be typecast, and so I wonder if that had influenced it, and I think the sequels now, it's more, they don't want to be attacked. We have to jump over to our other feed.
Oh, yeah.
So we're just jumping over to the 10 o'clock feed. If it doesn't go well, it's my fault. Send all the complaints though to Ken.
Yeah, that's fine. Right to me.
Yeah.
Hashtag that guy.
I'm going to end this stream and then we'll go right over to the next one. We'll see how it works. Like I said, it could go horribly wrong. If so, it's all my fault.
See you soon.